Pastor Adeboye, is organizing prayer session for the restoration of Nigeria's economy. I think we should leave God out of this. This is a self-inflicted injury. We are the ones who determine those who drive us. And what we hope Pastor Adeboye will do with his influence and some of his top followers is to put pressure on those in charge to do the right thing. And leave God to do. Nigerians are not the only people on the face of the earth. In fact, if you know, we have Jupiter, we have Mars, God created all these things. So let's leave God out of it. Let our religious leaders join those who are calling on government to do the right thing. You can't on the one hand see people doing the wrong thing and then say you are praying to God that you want the right result. You can't plant corn and reap pineapple. I'm not saying we shouldn't pray. Don't get me wrong. But we need leaders. We need leaders who can tell the truth on our behalf.
If a single pastor stood up today and declared that no church under his covering would charge school fees for the poor, millions of children would return to school. If 2 or 3 leaders united and said, we will no longer bless any government that robs the people, presidents would listen. If the shepherds gathered and said, we will build community markets, feed the hungry, and restore dignity to the widow and the orphan, the nation would shake. Isaiah 59:14-16 says, justice is turned back, and righteousness stands far off. For truth is fallen in the street, and equity cannot enter. Yea, truth fails, and he that departs from evil makes himself a prey. And the Lord saw it, and it displeased him that there was no justice. He saw that there was no man, and wondered that there was no intercessor. The Lord is still wondering today, where are the intercessors? Where are the voices that will not be bought? Where are the fathers of the faith who will cry out for justice, not for position? Where are the firebrands that will preach not just blessings, but rebuke the darkness openly? We are not fighting politicians. We are not fighting Muslims. We are not fighting tribes. We are wrestling with ancient systems, bloodline curses, colonial covenants, and spiritual wickedness in high places. But we are not helpless. For the word says in Isaiah 54:17, no weapon formed against you shall prosper, and every tongue which rises against you in judgment, you shall condemn. The enemy may sit in high places, but we sit in heavenly places with Christ Jesus. All we need now is for the shepherds to stand up, to speak out, to fight back in the spirit, with truth, with unity, with the people behind them. This is only the beginning. This is only the first trumpet. For it is written, we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places. Ephesians 6:12. In Nigeria today, it feels like we're wrestling with the cost of food, wrestling with bad roads, wrestling with fuel prices, with corrupt politicians, with collapsing currency, with hopelessness. But the Bible makes it plain that is not the real enemy. Behind the poverty, behind the bribes, behind the lies, there are spiritual forces, hidden systems, dark dominions, unseen rulers, pulling the strings behind closed doors. And who, I ask you, has been anointed to fight these battles, not just with microphones, but with truth, power, and righteousness. It is not the president, it is not the parliament, it is the prophets, the pastors, the bishops, the watchmen on the wall. 2 Corinthians 10:4 says, "For the weapons of our warfare are not carnal, but mighty through God to the pulling down of strongholds." The power to tear down these wicked systems does not lie in another election. It lies in the mouths of those who carry the word. It lies in the faith of those who believe the promise of justice. It lies in the unity of spiritual leaders who will no longer remain silent. Bishop Oyedepo, Pastor Adeboye, Pastor Chris, Apostle Suleiman, Pastor Iberiyemi, Dr. Olakoya, Bishop Okonkwo, you are not just men of God. You are not just ministry founders. You are giants in the spirit. And right now, your silence is costing lives. The people cry in the markets. They faint in the queues. The youth lose faith in this nation every single day. And while you speak of heaven, hell is ruling on earth. Jeremiah 5:31 says, "The prophets prophesy falsely, and the priests rule by their own power, and my people love to have it so." But what will you do in the end? This is not the time for polite prayers. This is not the hour for careful sermons. This is the time for righteous confrontation. This is the time for spiritual warfare in truth. In part 2, we will speak of unity, of how a threefold cord cannot be broken, of how Africa's revival will not come by one man, but by many spiritual fathers and mothers joined as one voice, one army, one movement.
Hey, this is Jamila, and you're watching Africa Speak